Alright, so I want to make a short little video here on Malachi chapter 4, specifically the last three verses, verses 4 to 6, because this causes just a little bit of confusion sometimes. It says to remember the law of Moses my servant, right, up into the great and terrible day of the Lord, which of course is a reference to the Great Tribulation, which comes right after the sixth seal triggers it. Okay, so I want to read this here and then explain it, how it's actually talking about specifically the Ten Commandments and not the entire book of the law, not the entire Torah here. Okay, so it says, Malachi 4, starting verse 4, it says, Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Okay, now the reason this causes confusion is because it says the law of Moses, and we typically say, at least we phrase it that, oh, the law of God, that's the Ten Commandments, the law of Moses, that's the book. Okay, well, sometimes it does refer to them interchangeably because, Moses' law was still given by God and he was the one that delivered it to Israel. But specifically, the point that separates this as being not the book of the law, but instead being referring to the Ten Commandments is that it says in Horeb. Okay, Horeb, that is different than Sinai. Horeb is the location of the assembly, right? The day of the assembly where they heard the voice of the living God speaking. Okay, this is where they received the life-giving waters, right? Where the rock gave the life-giving waters coming out of it, and there's actually these two stone tablets that look like, well, the two stone tablets that the Ten Commandments were written on, and this location is 6+ miles away from the burnt mountain Sinai, where Moses actually went up into the mountain, and that was 40 days later. Okay, so Horeb in the day of the assembly, this is what it's referring to. Then verse 5, Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Jehovah. Okay, so the Ten Commandments, that is the law we must remember all the way up until this day. Verse 6, And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Right? If you don't obey the Ten Commandments, if you don't teach them to your kids, which is even included in the Ten Commandments, right? Honor your father and your mother. That means the children obey the father and the mother when they teach them the Ten Commandments, right? So if you don't keep them, well, you're going to receive a curse. But if you obey them, blessings. And that's even Leviticus 26. But people also get hung up a little bit on this part that says with the statutes and the judgments. Well, they think that sounds like, oh, that means the entire rest of the law too, all the little ordinances in the book of the law. But no, this is referring to the Ten Commandments because they are in fact statutes and judgments, and this is how Deuteronomy 4 refers to them. So I want to go there and read Deuteronomy 4 and show how this is also the same covenant we must remember up until the great day of the Lord, great tribulation. It says this, okay? So Deuteronomy 4, I'm just going to start in, let's see, probably verse 4, 5. Let's start in verse 1, because this is the part I need to read. So it says, Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments, right, there it is, which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which Jehovah God of your fathers giveth you. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Jehovah your God which I command you. Okay, and this is important that it mentions the statutes and the judgments, because these are this chapter is going to refer to the Ten Commandments, and it's going to say that these are what we must keep all the way up until Great Tribulation. Okay, verse 3, Your eyes have seen what the Lord did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, Jehovah thy God hath destroyed them from among you. Okay, and that was the people who were eating food sacrificed to idols. Well, what are Christians doing today? They're eating pagan feast day offerings. Okay, they're doing Christmas and Easter, and that stuff is an abomination unto the Lord, and they're going to be destroyed, just like Israel, the Israelites specifically that did eat these food sacrificed to idols, they are going to be destroyed, or they were destroyed, right? So don't make the same mistake. Learn from your Old Testament. There's end days prophecy in it, and I'm going to even show you that. Verse 4, But ye that did cleave unto Jehovah your God are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, again, even as Jehovah my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes, and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto them, as Jehovah our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that hath statutes and judgments so righteous, as all this law, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. Okay? So make sure that your sons are keeping the commandments too. Teach them to keep the commandments. This is even the purpose of why God gave Israel this special place, right? Why they're his special people, is so that they would be a wonder to all the nations. All the nations would look at them and say, this is a great, wise, and understanding people. Let's be like them, because they clearly have God nigh unto them. Okay, but then they disobeyed, so he scattered them into the nations, right? They became Gentiles, and now he's going to bring them back in the second Exodus. And this is going to happen in the cloudy and dark day, as Ezekiel 34 says, which is even about how all your pastors today are scattering the flock, and they're feeding themselves instead of feeding the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay, but God's watchmen, they are going to be raised up to warn people to return back to the Holy Covenant, back to the old paths, as Jeremiah chapter 6 says, but even then you guys don't listen, right? Most of you, that is. Okay, but verse 10, pay attention here. It says, specially the day that thou stoodest before Jehovah thy God in Horeb, when Jehovah said unto me, Gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. Okay, so especially the day that they stood before God at Horeb, when he spoke verbally to them. This is the day of the assembly. This is even what Deuteronomy 18 is referring to when it says that the prophet, the capital P prophet, is going to speak unto them everything they desired at Horeb, the life-giving waters. Remember, they heard from God the 10 Commandments. He spoke to them verbally, and they were afraid. So they said to Moses, you go listen to him. We don't want to hear God anymore because he scares us, okay? We just want a prophet to speak to us these words, then we'll do them, okay? We promise, okay? And that's what ended up happening, right? That's the promise in Deuteronomy 18. God is going to raise up a prophet like Moses to teach them the 10 Commandments, and that is what the Messiah was for. This is why he says in Matthew 19, if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. And he starts listing off the 10. So the Messiah did come to teach the 10 Commandments. That's why we see in Matthew 5, right? He teaches just looking at a woman with lust in your eyes is adultery in your heart. Just having hatred against your brother is murder in your heart. Then he teaches you how to lawfully observe the Sabbath day in the New Testament, right? Don't think that you can get away without keeping the Sabbath day. That's not how it works. If you break one of the 10, one of the law of liberty, you break them all. Okay, this is what the Messiah came to teach. If you don't hear that prophet, you're going to be destroyed from among your people, right? If you don't hear and obey, that's what Shema is. Okay, so especially the day that you stood before Jehovah your God in Horeb, remember that covenant. Remember those words. Verse 11, and ye came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burnt with fire unto the midst of heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Jehovah spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, right? This is when he verbally spoke to them, but saw no similitude, right? Because God is an invisible spirit. Only ye heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. So this is the covenant that he expects us to keep, right? Keep this in mind, because it's going to refer to the covenant again later in this chapter, talking about the Great Tribulation. Verse 14, and Jehovah commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go over to possess it. Right? So again, the 10 commandments. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that Jehovah spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest ye corrupt yourselves, and make you a graven image, and the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of any thing that creepeth on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them, and serve them, which Jehovah thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. Right? So you don't know what God looks like. He's an invisible spirit. So stop trying to make these idols, these carved images, to represent him. Okay? We're not supposed to bow down to them, even make them. So what are you guys doing? Bowing down to the crucifix or the cross, and then saying that Jesus is God. Okay, that is blasphemy. That is blatant breaking of the 10 Commandments, right? Specifically, the one to make no graven image. You don't know what he looks like. Stop trying to represent him with art. Right? We're not supposed to take the Godhead and make it like unto art or a graven image made by man's device, the work of men's hands. Acts 17 says this. Verse 20, But Jehovah hath taken you, and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day. Furthermore, Jehovah was angry with me for your sakes, and sware that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go in unto that good land which Jehovah thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. But I must die in this land, I must not go over Jordan, but ye shall go over and possess that good land. Take heed unto yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of Jehovah your God which he made with you, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of any thing which Jehovah thy God hath forbidden thee, for Jehovah thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. So he gets pissed off when you make graven images. So stop making graven images. The crucifix, the cross, the statues of Mary you guys make, even the Christmas tree, the Easter bunny, the eggs, right? All these little things and symbols and stuff that is related to fertility worship or ancient pagan art, right? Stuff like that you were supposed to get rid of, cast it away as a menstruous cloth. That stuff is the filthy rags that Isaiah 30 is talking about. When God finally puts the true teachers in front of you, you're going to cast that crap away as a filthy tampon rag. That's what it's referring to. Those are the filthy rags, not obedience to the covenant. Right? You guys in the Christian church have it backwards. You're calling good evil and evil good. Obedience to the 10 Commandments, that is righteousness. Read Luke chapter 1, verse 6, right? In Deuteronomy 6, verse 25. Obedience to God is, in fact, righteousness. And we do it by his Spirit of grace working within us. So his Spirit will convict you to stop making these idols that are going to send you to hell. He's a consuming fire, and you're going to go into the lake of fire if you don't repent from this stuff. So, verse 25, When thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image, or the likeness of any thing, and shall do evil in the sight of Jehovah thy God, to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto you go over Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. So Moses knows this is going to happen. You know, it's not just some guess, it is prophecy, right? It is an accurate prediction. It is going to happen. We are going to serve idols, the work of men's hands, according to Moses. So unless Moses is a false prophet, this is going to happen in the churches in the last days, right? Put your finger on what this is referring to. It's referring to your crucifix, your Mary statues, your Christmas tree, right? Wood and stone, the work of men's hands. And I'll show you right now how it's end days prophecy. Verse 27, And Jehovah shall scatter you among the nations. Check, that happened. We're scattered among the nations. We're in Babylon, USA. And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Jehovah shall lead you. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear, nor eat nor smell. Right? That's the same description Psalm 115 gives these idols. Right? These things are dumb, and you're made dumb like them if you worship them. But if from thence thou shalt seek Jehovah thy God, thou shalt find him, if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. When thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, right? So this is end days prophecy right here. If thou turn to Jehovah thy God, and shalt be obedient unto his voice, right? His voice spoke the 10 Commandments and added no more, Deuteronomy 5:22. For Jehovah thy God is a merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto them. So the covenant, what covenant? Well, what did we just read in verse 13? And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. So if you remember the covenant, even in the last days, in the great tribulation, he will not forsake his part of the covenant. He will preserve you, and you can still be saved, right? Even though it's going to be through this fire of great tribulation when he turns up the oven and gets people to stop being lukewarm. So answer me this, Christian church, why is it that the covenant we're supposed to remember in the last days in great tribulation is the 10 commandments if we're under some new covenant already and the 10 commandments don't matter anymore, right? It just doesn't make sense. It contradicts this end days prophecy. You're making Moses a false prophet, and the Messiah says, "Oh, fools and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken," right? So huge error in the Christian church, right? It's literally prophesying you guys are going to be serving wood and stone, the work of men's hands, after you've been scattered into the nations, and you're going to do this all the way up until great tribulation in the latter days. So this just debunks so much, lies, so many of the lies in the church today. So you still do need to keep the 10 commandments. This is the covenant that we must keep all the way up until the great day of Jehovah that Malachi is talking about. The law of Moses given in Horeb, right? With the statutes and judgments, the 10 commandments. So this is what it's referring to. Stop doing your idolatry, right? Stop doing your pagan celebrations that serve idols and start keeping the Sabbath day. Why are you guys not doing that? It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy because he knew you guys would forget about it or change it to sun god day. But you're laying aside the commandments of God for your own traditions, and that makes your worship vain. Your heart is far from God if you do that. Because if you love him, you're going to keep his commandments. But if you don't keep the Sabbath day, well, you don't love him. So the 10 commandments, that's the covenant we must remember up until the great day of the Lord. Then the new covenant, which is we're in the engagement period of, it's going to be consummated at the end of Revelation with the wedding feast. Okay, that's when we're in the new covenant. That's when you can start saying that we're in a new covenant. But even then, it says that all flesh will come to worship before the Lord from one Sabbath to another. So it's not like the new covenant doesn't include the 10 commandments, right? It's his everlasting righteousness. So don't think that they're abolished or that they're ever going to be done away with, because that's not the case. So stop making excuses for your disobedience, or you're going to be told, "Depart from me, I never knew you, worker of lawlessness," because those who know him keep his commandments. 1 John chapter 2. So I'll end it there, but that's the covenant you must keep if you want to enter into life.